Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Mayor has spoken about how important it is that we speed up surface transit. And I absolutely agree. I support all the dedicated transit lines proposed in Rapid TO, including the whole Bathurst corridor. We need it badly. But there are two small pieces where we need interim steps. One of them is just north of College, where the Toronto Western Hospital is building a patient surgical tower. As you'll see in the report approved at Executive Committee, we're not putting a dedicated streetcar lane for that one block because we don't want to stop the Toronto Western Hospital from building a surgical tower. There's also a couple of blocks just south of DuPont where I have a community of small businesses that really don't have much other access to parking. The Bill Bolton Arena uses up basically all of the side street parking. There's a little bit of parking in the George Brown lots, but parking is really quite constrained in that area. And what you saw in the data from the TTC is that in this little piece, we have a terrible problem every afternoon with the northbound bus. And that problem starts at 2 p.m. every weekday and it goes till about 7 p.m. And right now, one of the major factors that holds up the bus and traps everybody in traffic is an individual turning left or a small number of parked cars on the east side of Bathurst. Now, data from the TPA has showed us that those parking spots are not used much. The utilization ratio is very low, but it's enough to stop the bus. So I've been working very closely with my community. My team and I have walked up and down Bathurst. We've knocked on hundreds of doors. We've had hundreds of communications back through our own survey, in addition to the public consultation that Ms. Hayward talked about. And I've met with the businesses, and what I've heard overwhelmingly is very strong support for speeding up the bus, making transit work better, but also a concern for the future of the businesses and a request that we try smaller measures first. Maybe they won't fix it, but it's at least worth trying. And we have the Dundas experience, which worked really well, improved the speed of the Dundas streetcar 21% just through parking and turn restrictions without a dedicated lane. What we do know is that we can speed up the northbound bus without having to wipe out all the parking on the west side of the street, because northbound buses don't go on the west side of the street. So I have worked very closely with TTC and transportation staff. I have a companion motion, Members' Motion 32.6, which will bring a report back to Toronto East York Community Council in September to make those changes. A series of changes that TTC and transportation staff agree that we need to speed up the northbound bus in the afternoon. And I am really delighted to say that after a lot of difficult conversations, 5 of the prominent local businesses in that section of DuPont have written in to express their support for the item that we're discussing now and for my motion. And you'll see Ruby Lamb, Jacqueline Verhoff, Trish Uenika, Chloe Fraser, and Brad McMullen, who is the CEO of the Summerhill Markets, and who was, a major voice in raising concerns early on. And you'll see his letter. It's attached to the members' motion. And what he says in a nutshell is, I urge you to support Saxe's motion, MM 32.6, and the Transit Priority Plan approved at Executive Committee. I commend Councillor Saxe for her thoughtful efforts to balance business realities with transit priorities. We can do both. In these 2 small, very sensitive sections, that's what I'm doing in consultation with my community. That's what I'm doing in consultation with our staff. We can still go ahead to do bus lanes as the mayor's called for. There's strong support in my community for time of day bus lanes. What we don't have is rationale to go immediately to 24/7 bus lanes in both directions without trying a tool that fixes the problem we actually have. So please support both. Thank you.